Good afternoon again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We'll get to the JRC here in a moment, but first the disclaimers. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find pertinent links in the description box. We got Autisticoya's massive archive on the subject where we get the bulk of our material when we talk about the JRC. We've got the article written by Neuroclastic, a small non-profit started by autistics for autistics. That one was the one where they interviewed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program that got so deep under the JRC's skin they threatened them with a defamation lawsuit if they didn't remove it from the website. Neuroclastic refused, so please folks, read the article and share it. We've got a link to Neuroclastic's GoFundMe as well, because unlike the JRC, we do not have access to unlimited money streams. Because if I did, y'all would know. Alright? Trigger warnings when we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys. You're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got your young children present, please utilize the headphones. Also, the channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We do use profanity and speak on dark subjects. If your child's 16 and younger and they are watching this, parental supervision is advised. Alright, folks, we're gonna get back into where we were the other day before last, because yesterday my computer decided to go psycho and not allow me to record it all. So we're going back to SAS, and this is gonna be another one of those where I have to bring up the same point that I have repeated for over the last 3 years. If we want to be more blunt, over the last 20 years. Let's get to it, shall we? Multiple well-respected day and residential programs attempted and failed to inhibit SAS's severe SIB and AB with positive only and non-intrusive ABA interventions and medications. Let me explain this for the billionth time. JRC. Before any intervention was attempted of any kind, before any planning in regards to what residential or community-based school programs would work best in this situation, before any of that happened and you even knew this student's name, was a full functional behavioral assessment conducted? Yes or no? Because if the answer is no, your sentence becomes nonsensical. Okay? Because allow me to say it again. I don't care if the school is a situation like Rivendell, one of the highest, literally one of the highest and most well-respected schools for neurodivergence in this country at the moment. But you know what? If that full functional behavioral assessment was not done before sending the kids off even to an awesome place like Rivendell, I would not be that surprised, in spite of how advanced they are, if it didn't work out. Those assessments are absolutely vital. They address everything in regards to whatever treatment program ultimately gets chosen. Okay? So, they could be #1 rated throughout the entirety of the world. If that assessment is not done, and the important information is not gathered so that the best educated decision humanly possible can be made in regards to which program is going to best address the problem areas in regards to that individual student. If that is not done, and if that's not an assessment that whichever program gets chosen, a copy of it is sent to said school, residential program, whatever you want to call it, then yes, it's going to fail. Because they don't even know what issues they're addressing. It isn't rocket science, it's Logic 101. All of us neurodivergents may all have very similar diagnoses, but the particular impact and how it relates to us each individually is wildly different from one another. There are millions of people throughout the world that have autism. Out of all those millions of folks, I can guarantee you that the way autism overall affects them and how they operate, as opposed to how it affects me and how I operate and where my trouble areas are all as different as fingerprints. Nobody on planet Earth has the same fingerprints. Not all of us who are neurodivergent all operate with the same issues and problem areas. Even the some commonalities that we have, the way that they affect us are completely different. Let me give you an example. I have extremely sensitive hearing. I can hear crazy shit. Okay? For me to function, I have to have some kind of background noise. I don't really do well without it. It's kind of a comfort thing, right? When I first began my channel, it was just me and my little phone. I would play my thrash metal in the background at what I thought was a low enough rate while doing the videos because I was extremely new to this and I was using it to help keep me calm. Yes, metal keeps me calm. It's cathartic. Alright? Some of the folks who were also neurodivergent told me that they couldn't pay attention to the content in the video because that background music they could hear in the video was overpowering my voice for them, even though it was turned down extremely low. Both I and the other neurodivergent share extremely sensitive hearing. How that affected the both of us was in completely different opposite directions, right? That's why full functioning behavioral assessments exist. Because even if we share commonality and traits, what those traits look like, each individual neurodivergent is going to be extremely different. That's why doing that assessment and getting all that pertinent information and just putting it in front of everybody's eyes where the problem areas are before you go searching for different school programs community-based or residential, is absolutely essential if you want it to be successful. Because no two of us are alike. I mean, shit, you could have two autistic identical twins. Identical twins, same diagnosis. How that diagnosis is going to affect each twin is still going to be drastically different from one another. Okay? I would know. I've read the case studies. If you do not get that assessment done and have it, not to just make the best educated decision in regards to which program to put the kids in, but to also have on hand for said residential school you're getting ready to put them in, so that the school understands where the problem areas are and what the areas that are needed to work on, what areas they're really good in and need to really encourage, areas that need to wait because, they're not quite that age yet. If you don't have the assessment done, it does not matter how well whatever intervention program, school, or day program you stick the kid into, it's probably not going to work. It's not the school's fault. It's not the parents' fault. It's literally the entire service system of the state of Massachusetts that is at fault, because nobody is guiding these parents to get that assessment done first. It's gotta be done first. It's gotta be done first. Okay? Now, with positive only. Again, calling out the JRC for doing this, because one of the easiest ways to manipulate just a regular Joe Schmo public is to use similar enough sounding words that the brain will replace it for what we think it is, as opposed to what the sentences actually say. Case in point here, in particular, with positive only and non-intrusive ABA interventions. So, what is the JRC's definition? First of all, positive only is not positive behavioral reinforcement. As the JRC has already bluntly told us, they don't even know what positive behavioral reinforcement is, let alone have they ever utilized it in any meaningful way in regards to their school program. I'm calling that out, and then non-intrusive ABA interventions and medications. So, when we think non-intrusive, right, that means literally here's my definition. Nobody's fucking with my shit. Okay? Non-intrusive means that whatever they're doing is not going to affect my capability to conduct my own life, right? Nothing's hampering me. It's not someone who says, well, Tiffany, you're home alone, so if out of nowhere you decided to go full autistic, then you'll have to, take something away from yourself. This kind of psycho nonsense, right? We're going to take away something that you bought yourself with your own money. And if you act like a neurotypical for 5 hours without breaking character, we're going to go ahead and then say that you've earned back the thing that you bought yourself with your own money that you worked to get. Okay? That's not non-intrusive. What the JRC is saying, what they mean by positive only and non-intrusive, is no, hear me on this, physical adversives. Because the lie is the ABA model no longer uses adversives. That is a lie. they in actuality do. They use quite a bit of psychological mindfuckery, such as if your kid is screaming in obvious sensory hell pain, telling the parents that they must ignore them until they use their words. We've already gone over the analogy of if I come out in the middle of the night and bang my knee on the corner of an old wood table, you know how sharp those ends used to be, right? You really think what's going to come out of my mouth is a nice, polite, soft-toned soliloquy about how that hurts? I must keep my mouth quiet. I don't want to wake the house, but owie? No, I'm going to yell, ow, fuck! If I were nonverbal, there would probably be a loud scream. Because that's human. That's reality. ABA would be like, say I did that, and it's like when I was a kid, you could literally break off an edge of the table and get a splinter, like, towards your kneecap area. If it sounds kind of vivid, hi, I did that shit. The 90s were not kind to my poor kneecaps. Okay? Nor my love of constantly sleeping on the couch when I woke up with acid stomach issues either. It was about 3 nights a week, bang the same area. I'm not proud of it, folks. I was not going to get no soliloquy. Okay? That's ABA. They use psychological mindfuckery. They take away things you already bought and paid for with your own money so that you can earn it back by showing them their fictionalized, weirdly, like almost worshipped version of neurotypical. That doesn't exist in the real world at all. Believe me, I would not. Alright? That's what they mean. They use those words because they want you to assume something else, but in actuality, the only thing they really mean about that particular part of the sentence is that what they used did not include physical adversives such as sleep deprivation, food deprivation, and being shocked within an inch of our life to the point that our lives flash before our eyes. Okay? And medications. If I hear any more batshit insane shit about Big Pharma the boogeyman with small little lid that I've been holding on with the full force of my will is going to boil over. And it's not going to end well for anybody. This is particularly pertinent right now. This is also one of the major concerns for all of us who are fighting the JRC right now, because we have people like RFK Jr. who want to take folks like me, whose medications assist in us being functional and able to be a part of our world, interact with our communities, and take care of ourselves. But he's decided to call us all drug addicts. Cute, right? You can almost see that JRC mentality. I'd love to see if they actually donated to his presidential campaign before he tuck-tailed and bowed to Trump like the little coward crackpot he is. But let's put it bluntly. He wants to take me off of my medication that made me be able to function and act like an adult again, and send me to go and do forced labor on a wellness farm. He is now HAX, which means he controls the CDC and the FDA, considering how the JRC uses as their number one drum Big Pharma, they're evil and making people comatose. What can I say? I'm a nihilist. Hoping for the best while preparing emotionally, physically, as well as advocacy actions to take wise, expecting the worst. Okay? The people who whine about Big Pharma all the time are usually either anti-vaxxers or they're new people being brought into the conversation that are now humoring anti-vaxxers. Folks, don't humor anti-vaxxers. They are the original tinfoil hat club. Okay? I have been combating their insanity for longer than I've been dealing local and state politics. Okay? These individuals are not people of sound mind. These are folks who think that my autism can be cured by either a no-gluten diet or by taking weird horse pills, or my favorite, drinking bleach. Yeah. Fact of the matter is, when it comes to medications, stop looking at your doctors like they're some benign dictators and you don't have a say. If a doctor has you try a medication, and not only does it not help, but it makes the situation worse, they're not clairvoyant. Okay? Nor omnipotent. They're not God. You have to tell them that, so that you can work together to see if there's another medication that will best help to not get rid of the problem. There is no pill that's going to get rid of the problem. That's one of the biggest things that's wrong with our society today, is this idea that, well, if it doesn't solve the problem, then it's not working. It's to supplement an overall treatment program. It's not the treatment program in and of itself. The sooner we can all realize this and begin to wrap our heads around modern medicine, the better off we would all be. Okay? I'm tired. I'm beyond tired. The people who use Big Pharma as a scapegoat are the very same people who are peddling to get a big check from said Big Pharma. In particular, Andrew Wakefield, who RFK Jr. highly supports. But they never tell you about that man who is protesting against too many vaccines and the MMR. Started in late 1998, 1999. What they don't tell you was Andrew Wakefield had just completed a patent for an alternative MMR vaccine. And he used the opportunity to act as an expert witness in a case over there in Britain, and used that as a way to both get paid as an expert while also talking down on the other vaccine so that it can help prop his new one up. Okay? They're not just sending us drugs to make us comatose. Okay? They like repeat customers. Easiest way to get repeat customers is to interact with people to try and figure out how this medication is affecting the person. Are we seeing real results? Are we not seeing real results? How are the results as opposed to the side effects? Are you having any side effects? Reason why I can spout those talking points out is these are the conversations I have with my own doctor. For every single medication that I have tried since the age of 19. Okay? Is Big Pharma corrupt? You bet your ass they are. That is also why Big Pharma has the multiple safety protocols that they do have. They don't want to be spending all that money having to constantly fight lawsuits and dole out millions of dollars to said lawsuits over and over again. Doing that is not good for business, especially considering if it becomes a major case, all the negative publicity that comes with it. Okay? We need to start thinking rationally here. I know that's a tall order these days, considering the very bleak and quite frankly, very scary place the U.S. has become. And how many of us, like my folks, feel fucking helpless. I'm gonna fight it anyway. That doesn't mean I don't feel helpless. The point is this. A, stop blaming Big Pharma for everything and just buying whatever the JRC is selling, hook, line, and sinker. Okay? Medication, when done right, within the scope of it being a supplement to an overall treatment program, instead of it being expected to be a miracle pill, I take it and magically I'm neurotypical for 8 hours. Is not how any of this shit works, Karen. Not at all. Number 2, if you do not have a proper full functional behavioral assessment done before you begin any form of intervention, just know ahead of time whatever is attempted is probably going to fail. Because if you don't have that assessment done, you don't really clearly in your mind have any idea what exactly it is you're dealing with. A lot of these different centers and residential school programs have specialties in certain areas. Rivendell out there included. It doesn't matter how well respected the said program is. If people don't know where the problem areas are, how are they supposed to do anything to help in regards to it? You can't. You're playing Russian roulette with your kid's treatment program and again getting pissed off when it doesn't work. And then it's blaming literally everyone else except the bastards who are torturing, starving, and sleep depriving your kid. But we're the bad boogeyman because we want, good or bad, you get to a certain age, you go into adult services. It's just madness, folks. It's utter madness. If you are above the age of 26, regardless of the situation, you do not have any business whatsoever continuing on a school residential program, point blank, period. Number 1. Number 2, if you do not do that full functional behavioral assessment before you even begin to start talking about what residential school programs or community-based ones are available to you, whatever you do next is probably going to fail. You can't fix what you don't know is wrong. Okay? It's part of the concept. It is a fully rounded look at the individual student, so we know where they are succeeding very highly and doing remarkably well, what areas need to be encouraged that maybe might down the road lead to future employment, what are the areas that are very obvious dangerous issues that need to be dealt with, and it's put all together in a nice report after the assessment is carried out, so that everybody gathered within that little team can take a look at all the information together. See, that's what they did with me. After I had that assessment done, everybody, my folks from Burrell, my case manager through the state at the Southwest Regional Office that I later came to work for, my mom and everybody after that assessment. That's when my aunt, we all sat down around the table with that information, copies of the report in hand, and began discussing what the options were. Okay? That's why you do those assessments. So that you do look at the options, and based off of the information gleaned, you can make a better decision. Well, this school actually specializes in the area where Tiffany's just really having bad social issues. I don't have social issues, I just stopped caring. You need to learn to stop caring more politely. This is a real conversation. But why? I was a handful during those last few teenage years. Well, I'm a handful now, but you get my point. It's simple. The assessment is vital. It's got to be the foundation. If you don't have that foundation, you are probably not going to find yourself in a program that's going to assist in making said kid successful. What you're going to end up is in a situation where you have a bunch of people with no clue of what's going on, in spite of how well the school is rated, because they have no information beforehand on how to deal with that specific kid whose trouble areas is A, B, and C. Pin the tail on the autistic. I don't know. Don't kill me for that one. I'm a little tired. Don't have assessment, don't have proper foundation, whatever program we get stuck into, or if it's Russian roulette where we go to several and everybody ends up kicking us out because there's no foundation to start with. You're trying to build an overall treatment program on sand with no foundation even attempted or tried. Okay? This isn't rocket science here. Pharma is corrupt. Pharma is evil. Pharma is still going to put pharma first, which means when it comes to testing their drugs, they're going to do it within an inch of their lives because they don't tend to like getting fired due to hefty lawsuits that cost Big Pharma millions, sometimes even billions of dollars every single year. Okay? We're going to go ahead and close out on that one, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel, and the few we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to get the comments. I do appreciate your time. As always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. I'll see you here and again in just a second. Bye-bye, everyone.